I need to tell you something about tomorrow that could completely change your understanding of love and compatibility. On March 6th, Venus crosses into Aries. And what's about to happen isn't just another planetary movement. This is the moment the universe has been building toward. A cosmic event that's specifically designed to unite two energies that have historically struggled to understand each other. Water and fire. Emotion and action. Depth and passion. If you're a water sign, Cancer, Scorpio or Pisces. Or if you're a fire sign, Aries, Leo or Sagittarius. I really believe the next few weeks are going to bring something you've been waiting for. Possibly your entire life. A relationship that doesn't require you to choose between emotional safety and passionate intensity. A connection where you don't have to dim your fire to accommodate someone's sensitivity, or drown your feelings to keep up with someone's pace. But here's what's really getting my attention. This isn't happening in isolation. Just 3 days ago, on March 3rd, we had that total lunar eclipse in Virgo. And if you felt that, if you experienced relationships ending, patterns breaking, or this overwhelming sense that something had to give, there's a very specific reason. That eclipse was clearing the path. It was removing the obstacles, the old relationship dynamics, the incompatible connections that were blocking this moment from arriving. And now, tomorrow, when Venus enters Aries, the door swings open. But here's the thing, and I really want you to hear this. This opportunity won't wait around forever. Venus moves fast through Aries. You have less than a month before she shifts into Taurus on March 30th. So if you've been feeling this pull towards someone, if there's been this magnetic attraction you can't explain, or if you've been wondering why certain people keep appearing in your life, stay with me. Because what I'm about to explain could be the missing piece you've been searching for. Let me start by telling you why this particular Venus transit is so different from every other time Venus has entered Aries. Because Venus enters Aries roughly once a year. So what makes this time special? What makes March 6th, 2026 the moment when water and fire finally come together? The answer is in what just happened. That Virgo eclipse on March 3rd wasn't just any full moon. It was a total lunar eclipse on the South Node, which in astrology represents karmic release, the clearing of old patterns, the ending of cycles that have run their course. And it happened in Virgo, the sign of discernment, standards, and practical reality. What this eclipse did, and I've been feeling this myself over the past few days, is it exposed every relationship dynamic that was based on compromise rather than compatibility. Every connection where sacrificing their essential nature just to make it work. Every partnership where the fundamental energies were so mismatched that it required constant management, constant adjustment, constant exhaustion. For water signs, this eclipse revealed where you've been drowning your emotional depth to accommodate partners who couldn't handle your intensity. Where you've been making yourself smaller, less feeling, less intuitive. Because someone told you that you were too much, too sensitive, too emotional. For fire signs, this eclipse showed you where you've been dimming your flame, suppressing your passion, holding back your natural enthusiasm and doctor because you were afraid of overwhelming someone, or because you were told that your energy was too aggressive, too impulsive, too much. And here's what the universe is saying through this eclipse. That era is over. The time of forcing incompatible energies to work through sheer willpower. That's done. Because tomorrow, when Venus enters Aries, a new paradigm begins. One where water and fire don't have to change who they are to be together. They just have to find the right match. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Water and fire, aren't those supposed to be incompatible? Doesn't water put out fire? Doesn't fire evaporate water? And traditionally, yes, astrology has taught us that water and fire signs struggle together. That they're too different. That their needs are too opposing. That one will always be trying to cool down while the other is trying to heat up. But here's what I've come to understand, and this was a huge shift in my own perspective. That incompatibility isn't about the elements themselves. It's about the level of evolution of the individuals involved. Because when water and fire come together at their highest expression, something magical happens. Water doesn't extinguish fire. It tempers it, shapes it, gives it direction and purpose. And fire doesn't evaporate water. It warms it, activates it, transforms it from stagnant to flowing. Think about it. What happens when you heat water? It becomes steam, vapor, something that can rise, that can move, that can transform. And what happens when fire is contained and directed by water? It becomes a controlled burn, sustainable heat, the kind of warmth that doesn't destroy but nurtures. This is what Venus in Aries is offering. Not the old paradigm of incompatibility, but a new understanding of how these elements can work together. And the reason it's happening now, the reason March 6th is so significant, is because of where we are collectively in our evolution. We just came through a Virgo eclipse that forced everyone to get real about their relationships, to stop pretending that fundamental incompatibilities could be managed through better communication or more effort, to acknowledge that sometimes, no matter how much you love someone, if your core energies are misaligned, it's going to be a constant struggle. And now, with Venus entering Aries, the universe is saying, okay, you've released what wasn't working. Now let me show you what does work. Let me introduce you to the person whose fire doesn't threaten your water, but dances with it. The person whose emotional depth doesn't drown your flame, but fuels it. But here's where it gets really specific, and this is what I want you to pay close attention to. Not every water sign is going to connect with every fire sign during this transit. The universe is being very precise about which combinations are being activated, and understanding which pairing you're part of could be the difference between recognizing your person when they show up and completely missing them. Let me break down the 3 primary water-fire combinations that are being cosmically supported right now, and why each one works in a way it never has before. The first combination is Cancer and Aries. Traditionally, this pairing has been considered one of the most challenging in the zodiac. Cancer is the ultimate nurturer, the one who creates home and emotional safety. Aries is the warrior, the pioneer, the one who's always charging forward into new territory. On the surface, these energies seem completely opposed. Cancer wants to nest and create stability. Aries wants to conquer and explore. But here's what's different now. With Venus entering Aries while Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, these 2 signs are being supported by their ruling planets in the most powerful way possible. Jupiter in Cancer is expanding the Cancerian capacity for emotional generosity and creating safe spaces. And Venus in Aries is softening the Arian warrior energy, making it more receptive to partnership. What this creates is a dynamic where Cancer can finally feel safe with someone who has fire. Because that fire isn't reckless or destructive. It's purposeful, protective, directed. And Aries can finally relax into emotional depth without feeling trapped or smothered. Because Cancer's nurturing isn't controlling. It's liberating. I've been seeing this play out already in the days leading up to this transit. Cancer individuals suddenly feeling attracted to people they would normally consider too intense or too forward. And Aries individuals finding themselves drawn to emotional depth in ways they never have before. Actually wanting to slow down and create something lasting instead of just chasing the next conquest. If you're a Cancer or an Aries, the person you're about to meet or the relationship that's about to shift, it's going to challenge everything you thought you knew about what you need in partnership. Cancer, you're going to discover that you don't need someone who's as cautious and protective as you are. You need someone whose courage inspires you to step out of your shell. And Aries, you're going to realize that emotional depth isn't a cage. It's fuel. It's what gives your fire meaning and direction. The second combination is Scorpio and Leo. This is the power couple pairing, and it's always been intense. Scorpio is the sign of transformation, death and rebirth, emotional extremes, and psychological depth. Leo is the sign of creative self-expression, radiant confidence, and the need to be seen and celebrated. When these 2 come together, it's never subtle, it's magnetic, it's dramatic, it's all-consuming. But historically, This pairing has struggled because both signs are fixed. They both want control. They both have strong wills. And when two immovable forces meet, something has to give. Usually, it's the relationship. What's different now is that we just came through a Virgo eclipse that specifically targeted the ego structures that make compromise impossible. For Leo, this eclipse revealed where pride has been blocking genuine connection. Where the need to be right or to maintain a certain image has prevented real intimacy. And for Scorpio, this eclipse exposed where the need for control and the fear of vulnerability has kept them isolated in their intensity. With Venus entering Aries, both of these signs are being given a new template for power in relationships. Aries energy teaches that true strength isn't about domination or control. It's about courage. The courage to be vulnerable, to admit when you're wrong, to let someone else shine without feeling diminished. What I'm seeing with this pairing is that Scorpio and Leo are finally able to recognize each other not as threats, but as mirrors. Leo's radiance doesn't diminish Scorpio's depth. It illuminates it, brings it out of the shadows, gives it a stage. And Scorpio's intensity doesn't overshadow Leo's light. It gives that light substance, meaning, something worth shining for beyond just being seen. If you're a Scorpio or a Leo, the relationship that's coming or the one that's about to transform, it's going to require you to redefine what power means. It's not about who's in control. It's about what you can create together when you both bring your full force without holding back. And that kind of partnership, when it works, it's unstoppable. The third combination, and this is the one that I think is going to surprise the most people, is Pisces and Sagittarius. On paper, this pairing makes no sense. Pisces is the dreamer, the mystic, the one who dissolves boundaries and merges with everything. Sagittarius is the philosopher, the adventurer, the one who needs freedom and space to explore. Pisces wants to lose themselves in union. Sagittarius wants to find themselves through independence. But here's what's happening right now that changes everything. Venus is leaving Pisces to enter Aries. For the past few weeks, Venus has been exalted in Pisces. And if you're a Pisces, you've probably felt this as a time of deep romantic longing, spiritual connection, and maybe even some confusion about what you actually want versus what you're projecting onto people. And as Venus moves into Aries, she's forming aspects with both Neptune and Saturn in the first degrees of Aries. This creates a bridge between Piscean dream innis and Arian action, between infinite possibility and concrete reality. What this means for Pisces is that your dreams are about to get legs. Your visions are about to become actionable. Your spiritual knowing is about to translate into physical movement. And for Sagittarius, who's been on this long journey of seeking truth and meaning, Venus in Aries is bringing a realization that truth isn't just philosophical. It's experiential. It's found in connection, in vulnerability, in the willingness to commit to something even when you can't see the entire path ahead. What makes this pairing work now is that both signs are being asked to grow in the same direction. Pisces is learning to ground their dreams in reality, to take action on their intuition, to stop waiting for the universe to deliver everything and start co-creating. And Sagittarius is learning that freedom doesn't mean avoiding commitment. It means choosing partnerships that expand rather than limit, that adventure with you rather than anchor you down. I've been watching this unfold in real time, and what I'm seeing with Pisces and Sagittarius connections right now is absolutely fascinating. These two signs are meeting each other in a completely new way. Pisces individuals are showing up with more clarity and direction than I've ever seen. And Sagittarius individuals are discovering that depth and commitment don't have to feel like prison. They can feel like the greatest adventure of all. If you're a Pisces or a Sagittarius, the person coming into your life or the relationship that's about to shift, it's going to teach you that you don't have to choose between spiritual connection and personal freedom. You can have both. You can merge and still maintain your individuality. You can commit and still explore. And that realization, that's what makes this pairing not just possible, but powerful. Now, here's something I need to address because I know some of you are thinking it. What if I'm not one of these 6 signs? What if I'm an earth sign or an air sign? Does this Venus in Aries transit not apply to me? And the answer is none so strange. It absolutely applies to you, but in a different way. Earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. You're not being called into water-fire dynamics right now. You're being called to witness them, to learn from them, to understand that the stability you value so much can coexist with passion and intensity. You might find yourself in the role of the grounding force for a water-fire couple. Or you might discover that your own relationships need more of that elemental spark. And air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. You're the translators right now. You're the ones who can help water and fire understand each other, who can articulate what's happening when emotions run high and actions move fast. Your role during this transit is to facilitate communication, to help these intense connections find their language. But for water and fire signs, this is your moment, and I want to be very clear about what this moment actually requires from you, because the universe is offering you something extraordinary. But it's not going to do all the work for you. The first thing you need to understand is that this isn't about finding someone who completes you. That's old paradigm thinking. This is about finding someone who complements you, who brings an energy that works with yours rather than against it. And the difference between those two concepts is everything. When you're looking for someone to complete you, you're operating from a place of lack. You're saying, I'm missing something, and I need another person to fill that void. And what happens when you approach relationships from that place is that you end up in codependent and dynamics where neither person can function without the other. But when you're looking for someone who complements you, you're operating from wholeness. You're saying, I'm complete as I am, and I'm choosing to share my life with someone whose energy enhances mine and whose life I can enhance in return. That's the foundation of a truly powerful partnership. For water signs, this means you need to stop looking for someone to save you from your emotions or to make you feel safe. You need to arrive at this connection already feeling safe within yourself, already having done the work of understanding and honoring your emotional nature. When you show up whole, the fire sign you attract won't be someone who's trying to fix you or manage you. They'll be someone who's genuinely fascinated by your depth and wants to explore it with you. And for fire signs, this means you need to stop looking for someone who can keep up with your pace or match your intensity. You need to arrive at this connection already having learned how to direct your fire, how to use your passion purposefully rather than just burning through everything in your path. Because when you do that, when you show up with intentional energy, the water sign you attract won't be someone who's trying to cool you down or slow you down. They'll be someone who helps you channel that fire into something meaningful and lasting. I've been thinking a lot about why this particular moment in time is so significant for these pairings, and I keep coming back to something that happened earlier this year, back in February. On February 20th, we had Saturn and Neptune conjunct at 0 degrees Aries for the first time in over 300 years at that exact position. This was a massive generational event, and what it did was create a new template for how dreams become reality, how vision becomes structure, how the infinite becomes finite. And what I'm realizing is that this Saturn-Neptune conjunction set the stage for everything that's happening now with Venus in Aries. Because what Saturn and Neptune together are teaching us is that you can have both spiritual connection and practical commitment. You can have both emotional depth and clear boundaries. You can have both passion and sustainability. This is the new paradigm that water and fire signs are being invited into. Not the old model where you had to choose between intensity and stability, between feeling everything and getting things done, between being true to your nature and being in a functional relationship. The new model says you can have all of it, but only if you're willing to do the work of integration. And here's where it gets really practical. Because I don't want this to just be abstract theory. I want you to understand exactly what this looks like in real life, in actual relationships, in the day-to-day dynamics of two people trying to build something together. Let me give you a specific example. Let's say you're a Cancer and you meet an Aries during this Venus in Aries transit. The old pattern would have looked something like this. Cancer would be drawn to Aries' confidence and energy, but would quickly start feeling overwhelmed by how fast Aries moves. Aries would be attracted to Cancer's warmth and nurturing, but would soon feel suffocated by Cancer's need for emotional security and constant check-ins. Cancer would start trying to slow Aries down, to get them to stay home more, to be more emotionally available, and Aries would start pulling away, needing space, feeling like Cancer is too needy, too clingy. Eventually, Cancer would feel abandoned and Aries would feel trapped, and the relationship would end with both people thinking, water and fire just don't work. But here's what the new paradigm looks like. Cancer and Aries meet, and there's that same initial attraction. But this time, Cancer isn't looking for Aries to be their emotional anchor. Cancer has already done the work of creating their own sense of home and security within themselves. So when Aries needs to go off and pursue their goals, Cancer doesn't take it personally. They don't interpret it as abandonment. They understand that Aries' need for action and independence isn't about Cancer at all. It's just how Aries operates. And Aries, instead of seeing Cancer's emotional depth as a burden or a trap, recognizes it as a gift. They see that Cancer's ability to feel deeply and create emotional safety is actually what allows Aries to take bigger risks in the world. Because Aries knows they have a home base to return to. A person who sees them fully and loves them not despite their intensity, but because of it. So what happens is this beautiful dance where Cancer provides the emotional foundation that allows Aries to be even more courageous and bold in their pursuits. And Aries provides the inspiration and momentum that helps Cancer step out of their comfort zone and experience life more fully. Neither person is trying to change the other. They're both bringing their full elemental nature to the relationship. And those natures are working together instead of against each other. This is what I mean by complementary rather than completing. Both people are whole. Both people are bringing something valuable. And together, they create something that neither could create alone. Now, let me talk about the Scorpio-Leo dynamic. Because this one operates differently. With Cancer and Aries, the challenge is usually about pace and emotional availability. But with Scorpio and Leo, the challenge is almost always about power and control. In the old paradigm, when Scorpio and Leo got together, it would turn into a battle of wills. Both signs are fixed. Both signs are intense. Both signs have very strong ideas about how things should be. Scorpio would try to control through emotional intensity and psychological insight. Leo would try to control through force of personality and sheer confidence. And it would become this exhausting power struggle where neither person could relax or be vulnerable because they were both so busy trying to maintain the upper hand. But here's what's different now. The Virgo eclipse that just happened. It specifically targeted the ego structures that make these power struggles necessary. For Leo, it revealed where pride has been a defense mechanism, where the need to always be right or always be in charge has actually been covering up a deep fear of not being enough. And for Scorpio, it exposed where the need for control has been a way of avoiding the vulnerability of truly being seen. So when Scorpio and Leo come together now, under this Venus in Aries energy, they're meeting each other from a completely different place. They're not coming in with their armor on, ready to fight for dominance. They're coming in with their hearts open, ready to be honest about what they actually need. And what they discover is that they're not actually competing for the same thing. Leo needs to be celebrated, to be seen, to have their creative expression witnessed and appreciated. Scorpio needs to be understood, to be met in their depth, to have their intensity honored rather than feared. These aren't opposing needs. They're complementary needs. When Leo shines their light on Scorpio's depth, Scorpio doesn't feel exposed or vulnerable in a threatening way. They feel seen in a way they've never been seen before. And when Scorpio brings their intensity to Leo's creative expression, Leo doesn't feel overshadowed. They feel like their art, their work, their very existence has been given profound meaning and purpose. I've been watching this play out. And what I'm seeing is that Scorpio-Leo couples who are coming together now, or who are transforming their existing relationships, they're discovering this incredible creative synergy. Leo is the performer, the artist, the one who creates beauty and meaning through self-expression. And Scorpio is the alchemist, the one who takes that raw creative energy and transforms it into something that can actually change people's lives. They become this unstoppable force. Leo provides the vision and the courage to put it out into the world. Scorpio provides the depth and the transfer makes it actually matter. And neither person has to diminish themselves or hold back their natural intensity. They can both show up fully, and instead of clashing, they amplify each other. But here's the key, and this is what makes or breaks this pairing. Both Leo and Scorpio have to be willing to let go of the need to be the most important person in the relationship. They have to be willing to share the spotlight, to take turns being the one who's supported and the one who's supporting. And that requires a level of emotional maturity and security that not everyone has. This is why the timing of this Venus in Aries transit is so important. Because we just came through an eclipse that forced everyone to grow up emotionally, to release the childish ego patterns that make true partnership impossible. The people who did that work, who used that eclipse to evolve, they're the ones who are ready for these powerful water-fire connections now. And then there's Pisces and Sagittarius, which I think is the most misunderstood pairing of all three. People look at these two signs and think they have nothing in common. Pisces is all about merging, dissolving boundaries, becoming one with everything. Sagittarius is all about independence, exploration, maintaining freedom at all costs. How could these possibly work together? But here's what people miss. Both Pisces and Sagittarius are mutable signs, which means they're adaptable, flexible, able to change and flow. And both signs are ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, growth, and higher meaning. So at their core, these two signs are actually seeking the same thing. They're both looking for truth, for meaning, for something that transcends the mundane reality of everyday life. The difference is in how they seek it. Pisces seeks truth through feeling, through intuition, through spiritual connection and emotional depth. Sagittarius seeks truth through experience, through philosophy, through adventure and intellectual exploration. But they're both seekers. They're both on a quest for something greater than themselves. What's happening now with Venus moving from Pisces into Aries is that these two approaches are being unified. Pisces is learning that spiritual truth has to be grounded in action, that dreams have to be pursued, that intuition has to be trusted enough to actually follow it. And Sagittarius is learning that intellectual understanding isn't enough, that true wisdom comes from feeling, from vulnerability, from being willing to merge with something beyond your individual perspective. When these two signs come together now, they're not trying to convert each other. Pisces isn't trying to make Sagittarius slow down and feel more. Sagittarius isn't trying to make Pisces toughen up and think more logically. Instead, they're recognizing that they need each other's approach to complete their own quest for truth. Pisces brings the emotional and spiritual depth that gives Sagittarius' adventures actual meaning. Because what's the point of exploring the world if you're not also exploring your own heart? What's the point of seeking truth if you're not willing to feel the full weight of what you discover? Sagittarius brings the courage and momentum that helps Pisces actually manifest their dreams. Because what's the point of having beautiful visions if you never take action on them? What's the point of deep spiritual knowing if you're too afraid to share it with the world? Together, Pisces and Sagittarius create this incredible dynamic where dreams become adventures and adventures become meaningful. Where spiritual depth meets philosophical exploration. Where feeling and thinking, intuition and logic, merging and independence all coexist in this beautiful, flowing dance. I've been seeing this manifest in really specific ways. Pisces individuals who've always been dreamers, who've always had these incredible visions but never knew how to make them real. They're suddenly meeting Sagittarius individuals who look at their dreams and say, "Let's do this. Let's make this happen. Let's turn this vision into an actual journey we can take together." And Sagittarius, individuals who've been on this endless quest for meaning, who've traveled the world and read all the books and had all the experiences, but still felt like something was missing. They're meeting Pisces, individuals who show them that the missing piece was emotional depth, spiritual connection, the willingness to stop seeking long enough to actually feel what they've found. This pairing works now because both signs are being asked to integrate their opposite. Pisces is being asked to become more Sagittarian, more action-oriented, more willing to take risks and explore. And Sagittarius is being asked to become more Piscean, more emotionally available, more willing to surrender and merge. And when they meet each other in that middle space, when they're both growing in the direction of the other, that's when the magic happens. But here's what I really want you to understand about all three of these pairings. Whether you're Cancer and Aries, Scorpio and Leo, or Pisces and Sagittarius, the success of these relationships isn't just about cosmic timing or planetary alignments. It's about the work you've done on yourself before you even meet this person. The Virgo eclipse 3 days ago. It wasn't just clearing out old relationships. It was clearing out old versions of you. The version of you that believed you had to compromise your essential nature to be loved. The version of you that thought compatibility meant finding someone exactly like you. The version of you that was afraid of intensity, afraid of depth, afraid of the kind of love that actually transforms you. And here's what I've been noticing in my own life and in the lives of people around me. The ones who are attracting these powerful water-fire connections right now. They're not the ones who've been sitting around waiting for the universe to deliver their perfect match. They're the ones who've been doing the hard work of becoming whole within themselves. They're the ones who've been healing their relationship with their own element. For water signs, that means you've been learning how to honor your emotions without drowning in them. How to feel deeply without losing yourself. How to create emotional safety within yourself instead of constantly seeking it from others. You've been learning that your sensitivity isn't a weakness. It's a superpower. That your ability to feel and intuit and connect on a soul level is exactly what makes you magnetic. And for fire signs, that means you've been learning how to direct your passion purposefully, how to use your energy to build rather than just burn, how to be confident without being arrogant, how to lead without dominating. You've been learning that your intensity isn't something to apologize for or tone down. It's your gift. It's what makes you capable of creating real change in the world. When water signs who've done this work meet fire signs who've done this work, something extraordinary happens. There's no power struggle because both people are already powerful. There's no neediness because both people are already whole. There's no fear because both people have already faced their shadows and integrated them. What you get instead is this incredible partnership where both people are bringing their absolute best, their most evolved, their most authentic selves. And they're not trying to merge into one person or maintain complete independence. They're creating something entirely new. Our third entity that's neither water nor fire but some alchemical combination of both. I want to talk about what this actually looks like in practice. Because I think a lot of people hear about these cosmic alignments and think it's going to be this fairy tale romance where everything is perfect and easy. And that's not what this is. These water-fire connections, they're intense, they're transformative. They're going to push you to grow in ways you never imagined. Let me give you a real example of what I mean. Let's say you're a Scorpio and you meet a Leo during this Venus in Aries transit. The attraction is immediate and undeniable. There's this magnetic pull that neither of you can explain. You start spending time together, and it's electric. The conversations go deep fast. The physical chemistry is off the charts. You both feel like you've finally met someone who can match your intensity. But then, a few weeks in, the challenges start to surface. Leo wants to go out, to be seen, to socialize and shine in public spaces. Scorpio wants to stay in, to go deeper, to explore the psychological and emotional terrain that most people are too afraid to touch. Leo feels like Scorpio is trying to keep them hidden, to dim their light. Scorpio feels like Leo is being superficial, avoiding the real intimacy that comes from vulnerability. In the old paradigm, this is where the relationship would start to fall apart. Both people would dig in, defending their position, trying to get the other person to change. But in the new paradigm, something different happens. Both people recognize that this tension isn't a problem to be solved. It's a creative force to be harnessed. Leo realizes that Scorpio's desire for depth isn't about controlling or limiting them. It's about wanting to know the real Leo. Not just the public persona, and that invitation to be fully seen, shadows and all. That's actually what Leo has been craving their entire life. The chance to be loved not for their performance but for their authentic self. And Scorpio realizes that Leo's need to shine isn't about being shallow or avoiding intimacy. It's about expressing the transformation that's happening inside them. It's about taking the deep work they're doing together and bringing it out into the world in a way that can inspire and uplift others. And that's actually what Scorpio has been seeking. A way to make their intensity matter beyond just their own personal experience. So instead of fighting about whether to go out or stay in, they create a rhythm that honors both needs. They have their deep, intimate nights where they explore the psychological and emotional depths together. And they have their public nights where they show up as this powerful couple, radiating the transformation they're creating together. Neither person has to sacrifice their essential nature. They're both getting what they need, just not in the way they originally imagined. This is what I mean when I say these relationships are transformative. They don't just make you happy, they make you grow. They challenge you to expand beyond your comfort zone while still honoring your core essence. And that kind of growth, it's not always comfortable, but it's always worth it. Now, I want to address something that I know some of you are wondering about. What if you're already in a relationship? What if you're a water sign married to an earth sign? Or a fire sign in a long-term partnership with an air sign? Does this Venus in Aries transit mean you're with the wrong person? And the answer is absolutely not. This transit isn't about leaving good relationships to chase some cosmic ideal. It's about understanding the dynamics at play in your current relationship and using this energy to deepen and transform what you already have. If you're a water sign in a relationship with someone who's not fire, this transit is asking you to bring more of your authentic emotional depth to that partnership. To stop holding back, to stop making yourself smaller, to trust that your partner can handle the full force of who you are. And if they can't, if they consistently shut down your emotions or make you feel like you're too much, then yes, this transit might be showing you that it's time to reevaluate. And if you're a fire sign in a relationship with someone who's not water, this transit is asking you to bring more intentionality and purpose to your passion. To channel your energy in ways that build rather than just burn. To recognize that true strength isn't about dominating or always being right. It's about being vulnerable enough to admit when you're wrong and courageous enough to change. The point of this Venus in Aries transit isn't to break up existing relationships. It's to show everyone, regardless of their elemental combination, what's possible when two people bring their full, authentic, evolved selves to a partnership. And sometimes that means recognizing that your current relationship isn't allowing for that level of authenticity. But sometimes it means realizing that you've been holding back, and your partner has been waiting for you to show up fully all along. I also want to talk about timing, because I think this is crucial. Venus will be in Aries until March 30th. That's less than a month, and within that month there are some very specific dates that are going to be particularly powerful for these water-fire connections. March 7th is when Venus conjuncts Neptune in Aries. This is the day when the spiritual and romantic idealism reaches its peak. If you're going to have a fated encounter, a moment where you meet someone and just know they're significant, it's likely to happen on or around this date. But here's the thing about Neptune. It can create illusion as easily as it creates vision. So on March 7th, you need to be very clear about what you're actually seeing versus what you're projecting. Then on March 8th, Venus conjuncts Saturn in Aries. This is when reality checks in. This is when you find out if that magical connection from the day before has any substance to it. Saturn doesn't care about romance or chemistry. Saturn asks, Can you build something real here? Are you both willing to do the work? And if the answer is yes, Saturn will help you create a foundation that can last. But if the answer is no, right? If it was just Neptune fog and fantasy, Saturn will dissolve it quickly. This 1-2 punch of Neptune and Saturn is actually perfect for water-fire connections. Because these relationships need both. They need the magic, the chemistry, the sense of destiny that Neptune provides. But they also need the structure, the commitment, the willingness to show up consistently that Saturn demands. And having both of these energies activated within 24 hours of each other means you're going to get very clear very fast about whether this connection is real or not. Then on March 10th, Jupiter stations direct in Cancer. This is huge for Cancer individuals specifically, but it's also significant for all water signs. Jupiter has been retrograde since November, asking everyone to go inward and figure out what emotional security actually means to them. And when Jupiter stations direct, it's like a green light. It's the universe saying, okay, you've done the internal work. Now it's time to move forward and actually create the emotional reality you've been envisioning. For water-fire couples, this Jupiter station is going to provide a massive boost of confidence and optimism. Whatever challenges or doubts have been present in the early stages of the relationship, Jupiter direct is going to help you see the bigger picture, the potential, the reason why this connection is worth investing in. And then on March 20th, we have the spring equinox, the moment when the sun enters Aries and the astrological new year officially begins. This is when everything that's been building since Venus entered Aries on March 6th gets locked in. The connections that have formed, the transformations that have occurred, the new understanding of what's possible between water and fire. All of it becomes part of your new normal. So you have this very specific window, March 6th through March 20th. 2 weeks where the cosmic conditions are absolutely perfect for water and fire to come together in ways they never have before. And if you're one of these signs, strains, if you're Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, I really encourage you to be intentional during this time, to put yourself in situations where you can meet new people, to be open to connections that might not look like what you expected, to trust that the universe is orchestrating something beautiful, even when you can't see the full picture yet. But here's what I really want to leave you with. This isn't just about finding a romantic partner. Yes, for many of you, that's exactly what's going to happen during this transit. You're going to meet someone who changes everything. But for others, this transit is about healing your relationship with your own element. It's about finally accepting and honoring the water or fire nature that you've been taught to suppress or apologize for. For water signs, this Venus in Aries transit is teaching you that your emotional depth is not a burden. It's not too much. It's not something you need to manage or control or hide. Your ability to feel deeply, to intuit, to connect on a soul level, that's your magic. That's what makes you irreplaceable. And the right fire sign, the evolved fire sign, they're not going to be intimidated by that. They're going to be in awe of it. They're going to want to learn from it. They're going to recognize it as the missing piece in their own journey. And for fire signs, this transit is teaching you that your passion and intensity are not problems to be solved. You're not too much. You're not too aggressive or too impulsive or too bold. Your fire, when it's directed with purpose and intention, is what creates real change in the world. It's what inspires others. It's what makes the impossible possible. And the right water sign, the evolved water sign, they're not going to try to put out your fire. They're going to help you channel it. They're going to give it depth and meaning and direction. This is the gift of this Venus in Aries transit. It's showing both water and fire signs that they don't have to choose between being true to their nature and being in a loving partnership. They can have both. They can be fully themselves and fully connected. They can maintain their individual essence while creating something together that's greater than the sum of its parts. And here's the beautiful truth that I've come to understand through all of this. When water and fire come together at their highest expression, They don't create steam that dissipates into nothing. They create a sustainable cycle. Water nourishes the earth, which feeds the fire. Fire heats the water, which rises as vapor and returns as rain. It's not about one element dominating or destroying the other. It's about both elements participating in a natural cycle of transformation and renewal. That's what these relationships can be. Not a constant battle between opposing forces, but a beautiful dance of complementary energies. Not a compromise where both people give up essential parts of themselves, but an integration where both people become more of who they truly are. Not a fairy tale where everything is perfect and easy, but a real, grounded, transformative partnership where both people are committed to growing together. So as Venus enters Aries tomorrow, as this cosmic window opens, I want you to trust that the universe knows what it's doing. If you're meant to meet someone during this transit, if you're meant to transform an existing relationship, you will. And if you're meant to spend this time healing your relationship with your own element, preparing yourself for the partnership that's coming later, that's exactly what will happen. The universe isn't random. These alignments, these transits, these cosmic events, they're all part of a larger intelligence that's guiding us toward our highest evolution. And right now, that evolution is asking water and fire to finally recognize each other not as enemies or incompatible opposites, but as perfect complements, as the two forces